Spectrum wants to hear your views. You can SMS at any time during the show. Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
Hello, a very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host Edmond Kizito. On Spectrum tonight, the fight against graft. What are the stakeholders taking part in the anti-corruption week proposing to strengthen the fight? This week, stakeholders involved in the fight against corruption are laying new strategies to augment existing efforts to be able to eradicate or reduce cases of graft, which are increasing each day. These efforts are part of the week-long activities under the Anti-Corruption Week that was launched today. The Anti-Corruption Week has come at a time when grand corruption and theft of public funds is being reported in different government departments. Uganda is said to have some of the best anti-corruption laws and institutions, but it's also true that cases of graft are higher in Uganda than in any other country within the East African region, save for Burundi. Corruption is dangerous to any society as it eats away at the little resources and donor support that could have been invested in critical areas to address major challenges. It is reported that in Uganda, up to $500 billion is lost annually through corruption, but this could be on the lower side, considering that corruption is not a documented activity. In any discussion about corruption, one may quickly blame government for not taking tough measures against those involved in official corruption, but many say there's no political will and that the relevant laws are also weak. But currently, there seems to be a lot of emphasis on what the public can do to end graft. Many have suggested that the Ugandan civil society is weak and also corrupt itself and unable to lead any public campaign against corruption. So tonight, we reflect again on the subject of corruption, looking at the proposals coming up to deal with the challenges as we take part in the Anti-Corruption Week. Our guests tonight, Mr. Larok, Executive Director of Action Aid. You're most welcome, Mr. Larok.
Thank you very much, and good evening, listeners and viewers.
We're also joined by Mr. Bamwine, a Resident District Commissioner of Mpigi District. You're most welcome, Mr. Bamwine.
Thank you, Edmond, and good evening, listeners and viewers.
Viewers, because we're also on the internet, you can get a video of Spectrum off YouTube. Mr. Bamwine, RDC Mpigi. Is Uganda losing the fight against corruption?
Well, I don't know, but because when you talk about corruption, whether it is losing or gaining, I think we need first of all to understand the concept of corruption itself. Obviously, corruption has existed since mankind started to live. Even those who are more Christians than me, they know that the Son of God was even sold in a bribery manner. 3 cents. So corruption is part and parcel of human nature. But of course, efforts must be made to make sure that it does not escalate or does not go to worrying levels. I'm one of those who throughout, I think, my grow up have been thinking that I'm alone in fighting corruption. You remember my wars here with Kampala State Council. And I think I've tried. But my problem is all of us who pretend to be fighting corruption when actually we are not. Corruption is complicated in the sense that it starts, actually people don't even realize who it is. If I can use your home for example, I don't know how much money you leave them for sugar. You leave money for sugar, 1 kilo of sugar, they buy a quarter. And they do not declare what is the balance.
That's what they do in your home, Mr. Bamwine.
I mean, this is another thing. And the more you hide about them, the more problems continue heaping. Okay, let me not use that. We have been in elections. I can tell you there are very few candidates, if any, that went through without buying themselves. I participated in elections, you remember. Now, once you started demanding things from a candidate, and also the candidate is willing to give out, that is the root cause. Because society glorifies the corrupt, and and demonizes the hardworking. He starts saying, Edmond, that one is not he has worked for 20 years and he has not even a car. You don't talk about that one. Arthur has worked for 5 years, he has everything. He's hard work. They don't bother to know where this money comes from. Look, you go to churches. The one who gives the more in the church is the one who sits in front. All these places. So to me, corruption, like I think 56% of our budget goes to districts. But the population doesn't know that actually, I have written to the president now that we need to comprehensively institute commissions of inquiry in all districts of Uganda. You're going to see the revelations. Because large amounts of money go to districts, and the gains at the districts are so huge. Even you find that even the district leadership is in connivance with the cow. Then, so you find that it is so complex. And unfortunately, our population do not realize it. So to me, the fight against corruption is not lost, but I'm not convinced on the speed and the methods and the framework. Today I was discussing with Honorable Matembe, and I asked her, you are a lawyer. In your heart of hearts, because now I was there, they declared that they are going to remove Museveni, that's when corruption will stop. And I asked,
So they plan to do that.
they declared it today. I think tomorrow maybe he will not be there. So I asked her, assuming President Museveni and his team left today in the current framework, do you think you can fight corruption?
All right.
You cannot, because when you still have Article 28 of the Constitution,
What does it say?
which says you are innocent until proved guilty,
Yes.
which says it is your right to get bail.
I think I know why you're leaving.
It's your right to get bail. Somebody cannot steal 30 billion shillings and you give him bail, and the investigator is getting 200,000 and the judge is getting 2 million shillings, and expect that this person is good. Not until we must change the legal framework. We make corruption very risky, and we actually say that you are guilty
Until
proven innocent. I think that's the only way. And now I'm going further. I'm saying we need to have these kind of laws of recovery of properties, and then we can also grade corruption. You can say simple corruption, medium, aggravated. And aggravated can be even put on firing squad. But unfortunately, the crusaders who are fighting against corruption, they are the most corrupt. And you get the problem.
That's the people in government?
Yeah, not in the government. In the government, outside the government.
In the government.
You say I'm talking about Uganda. I'm talking about corruption in Uganda.
Okay.
Have you ever known there are groups called NGOs? Have you ever minded how much money they get on behalf of Ugandans and how it is dispensed? And I was asking them the other day. There is a professor who came from California, and he sponsored members of parliament to go on a retreat about oil. And they spent 4 days in a certain hotel in Munyonyo here, paying 500 per person per hall, per room where they are staying, and then getting a per diem of 500,000. And I was asking myself, how come that this professor is so much sympathetic to Uganda? And where?
Okay.
What is the return on investment?
Let's move forward.
Look at this aid, hold on a bit. The aid you are hearing they are stopping. I'm one of the people who are celebrating for aid to be stopped.
Let's
because they give you 100 shillings, 70% goes back. So we must be serious. We must have stringent laws. So that's when we can talk about fight corruption to zero.
Talk to us. Is Uganda losing the fight against corruption? What's your room?
We lost it. I think we lost it long time ago. In terms of the current leadership we have, they simply have lost it. I'm not so sure there is any of the top leadership that can have the claim to be having the moral authority to lead this fight anymore. So I think we have reached a critical point where ordinary citizens, through their individual and collective action, need to provide the frontline role in the struggle. I think, to be very, very honest, the efforts that we have launched as civil society are really about rebranding this struggle. We don't, corruption, even the concept Bamwine is talking about, it is a proxy concept, a colleague of mine told me. It is a proxy concept to theft. absolute thuggery that is happening in our government. Secondly, because it is a proxy concept to theft, we have proxy solutions that we have. These legislations we have, who has ever been taken, a serious person that has been put behind bars because of legislation? And therefore we have proxy solutions. Solutions that give people hope but nothing tangible. And also we have proxy targets. Proxy targets. So I think one of the fundamental points we are making as ordinary citizens with the weapons that we have, our mouth and courage, is actually to rebrand this struggle. The second thing that we are going to do is to maintain a sustained assault by galvanizing citizen action around a symbolic move. That is why we announced the Black Monday movement. Every Monday, every Ugandan putting on black will epitomize this struggle. And every single Monday, a Ugandan should dedicate time to speak to another Ugandan about the scourge that this is. We've tried to bring this public information in the open, and we've been sharing this information left, right, and center. We, as ordinary citizens, we say, well, I think one of the things we need to celebrate is the role media has played. Media is playing its role. We accept that. Secondly, we accept that government is playing some departments of government, like the Auditor General. They are playing their part in exposing, but the response to it is completely ignoring all these Auditor General reports. They simply die. So now, what is it? While we continue praying for IGG, praying for Auditor General, and hoping that the media will continue playing its part, we need, as ordinary citizens, to take actions that we can. And 3 of them have come solidly. They don't require donor money. And I will respond to Bamwine, who says all NGOs are corrupt. That's not true. It's just being diversionary. One, economic boycott. If Bamwine is found to be a thief, I'm not saying he is, and he owns a pub somewhere, a joint, Ugandans should simply vote on their feet. Never go to such a pub. If we find out that a particular hotel belongs to one of these corrupt government officials, boycott. So by economic boycott, no problem, exactly. Boycott every facility, hotel, telecommunications company, restaurants, supermarkets, petrol stations, all of these are actually there in the Auditor General's report. So boycott those. That is an action nobody can you know. Yes, we have to do proper research so that we are not accused of economic sabotage, because that's not something also that we need to land into. But this is action we can take on our own. Whether IGG is there, whether Gaihura is there, it doesn't matter. We can take that action. The second one is social outcasting, and I will respond to this idea that we are encouraging Ugandans to simply outcast thieves. If you have been documented by Auditor General, Public Accounts Committee, IGG, to be a thief, why should I invite you to my wedding? Why should you participate in my introduction? Why should, like Bamwine said, religious leaders receive any envelope from these people? Why should you give them a special seat and remove this woman from church? What we need to do, we need the religious leaders to have special cleansing prayers for even money that they put in church. This is what they must do. When I meet any corrupt official in a supermarket, I must say, you are a thief. I will not give you any respect. And there are many members of parliament, ministers that I dare not mention the word honorable. Now, this is action I can take as an individual. I don't worry about any. It is lawful. It is my right to do so. And the final one we are talking about, which I agree with Fred Bamwine, is punitive legislation. You know, one thing that has completely diverted attention from everybody. Each time we have a problem, amend the legislation. That legislation is never implemented. Why? Because the very people who are supposed to implement it are the primary culprits. Now, if we are serious, if the government of the NRM is serious, there is an opportunity in Parliament of that legislation being amended. We must be radical. Parliament must be radical in rethinking this legislation. I agree with him that if it requires us to amend the Constitution, to put the burden on proof on the corrupt officials, you are guilty until proven innocent. In the meantime, we confiscate your property. We auction it. You know, that will act as a deterrent. Confiscate properties. Now, the other thing is, I agree with him. If we segregate the levels of theft, and you have aggravated, like they say, aggravated homosexuality, life sentence. Of course, as civil society, we can't support firing squad because there is a right to life that we cannot, you know. So we must put them life sentence. That is bad enough, you know, with no chance that you will come back to normal life. So this type of punitive measures will act as a deterrent and make this thuggery and theft a really highly risky business. All the suggestions we are giving Edmond are things we can do without any funding from anybody. And the final point I want to respond to Bamwine. Bamwine says that Ugandan society, the problem is with Ugandan. We glorify corrupt officials, we give them space, and there is an extent to which that is a reality. But quite honestly, we must, as a people, do, especially as elite who do analysis and speculation, whatever it is you call it, we should never fall in the trap of blaming the victim. Poverty is so high that the temptation to get something is so high. Sometimes you just need to forgive these Ugandans who are bribed with 500 shillings in a vote. I mean, we surrender that vote. Now, I can't turn around and start blaming that victim. Now, I think political leadership shapes culture. I think the way people behave at grassroots level, if we had a different type of leadership that does not condone corruption, that has a track record of integrity, I believe that small NADS coordinator somewhere would not steal that money. Secondly, the issue about NGOs being the most corrupt. I would challenge Bamwine and anybody who has that information, put it forward. Say this NGO, that NGO, let it be investigated. Exactly, let it be investigated. I speak from a position of strength, Bamwine. I come from an organization called Action Aid. Zero tolerance whatsoever. In fact, many of the policies government implements, whistleblower, and we implement it there at Action Aid. The moment you are detected and there is a whistleblower against you, investigation is done, you are fired. No, you have a record for that. Now, I am saying, just a minute, let me just finish this point. The difference, I think, Bamwine, and I'm not saying, because civil society is part of the society which is generally going through a moral crisis. Now, even I can speak for the group I work for and for a few organizations that I know. Now, the difference between many civil society organizations and government is that government condones it, protects the thieves, and acts with impunity. You know, a minister is charged, he is censored, and reappoint. We can't do that in Action Aid. So while the government condones, we are acting, and I think that is the difference. It's not that there is no corruption in civil society because we are part of that society, but the action is the difference.
Well, listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio 1 tonight. The fight against graft. What are stakeholders taking part in the anti-corruption week proposing to strengthen the fight? Our guests tonight, Mr. Larok, Executive Director of Action Aid Uganda, and Mr. Fred Bamwine, RDC or Resident District Commissioner of Mpigi District. You will be able to call him and contribute to this discussion. Mr. Bamwine, is there political will to fight?
Yes, before I mentioned about religious leaders releasing money. and he reminded me about conmen in town here. What they do when they want to con somebody, they go and make this black door and they say, you know, this money is, you have seen it, but you need some little money to go and cleanse this one. And then you end up losing what even the little you have. So my fear is that when you bring religious leaders to cleanse this one of the problems, then you get to move that. So it's true that Action Aid, maybe it may be true that Action Aid may be.
Let's talk about
you see, the more you cover, I am privileged, the more you cover these NGOs, the more problems you. Today, we are being given free clothes today at Africana. They were giving us free clothes, T-shirts, free meals, of course the whole. And I was asking myself, who is this goodwill sponsor of giving free goods, free clothing, free food? No, that's the best. You see, the way you cover it under the carpet. If you find somebody stealing a pencil, because that's why he can access. So if you get billions.
You're talking about that, you say.
So to me, has almost bailed me out. Once you say that the media is doing a fantastic job as we are here, once you say that the Edmond is doing some job, it is true government has not finished corruption, but at least, I wish you had mentioned even the president. You have seen the letter of the president directing either IGG, either police, either the Auditor General to investigate.
And once
because fortunately, you are not talking about it from the air. We are talking about Uganda, whereby you had no president who had the capacity to investigate his own. But you have seen the letters of the president investigate so and so. Yesterday I saw a letter where he directed that cows and RDCs of Eastern Uganda DPCs should be arrested and fired for having not acted on those who steal signposts. I'm trying to say the efforts, even civil society, even if they are also having their own problems, but the mere fact they are willing to come out and say this, it's not bad. So we must also credit where credit has been achieved or something is being done. But I want to assure you, I don't know whether you're a lawyer. Once we still have NGOs in the name of human rights, who don't want to change the Constitution Article 29 to mean that you are guilty until you prove innocent, not to allow the corrupt to be given bail until their case is disposed of. I'm telling you, you can talk much, but once somebody has stolen 20 billion shillings, the judge is paid 3 million shillings, the investigator is paying 200,000, you cannot win this case, whether you like it or not. Secondly, the time frame. How can a case of corruption be in court for over 10 years? Even if you win this case, will they be valid for money? Unfortunately, this is a government which must operate within the law. That's why I'm saying we must change some of these laws, because corruption must be fought quickly, must be fought legally, and at the same time, all of us, we should stop accusing the finger, because even if it's my brother, even if I'm the one, if you have found me in problems, let me first sort out my problems. After all, relationship will not die. But we must call corruption corruption. It has no color, it has no tribe, it has no religion, neither does it have a political party.
Is there a political will to fight corruption?
It is there. But today we got worried, because today we went as people who are anti-corruption crusaders. When we reach there, those who are announcing leadership positions, they got an advantage. We have the president. I said, okay, now then we are complicating the matter. Because if we want to remove the president who was elected last year, his supporters will say, okay, that is the direction. Then we have lost the struggle. We need to be together, and if it is fighting corruption, we say, Bamwine are corrupt, or Arthur are corrupt, or say, depending on the evidence that has been adduced. Fortunately, that's what I was telling Arthur, that he needs to give credit. The president has been on spot on, writing, directing, investigating, and there. And this has been, all this infrastructure, all this environment has been created by this president. The only disadvantage I know is him. We made a constitution which he did not expect a Ugandan to be dishonest about his own country. That time the preoccupation was stop about the dictatorship. But now the voice has changed from dictatorship to corruption.
And he's a forgiving man. If you repent, he forgives you, which is a Christian.
But it is also a method of fighting corruption.
We'll go for a break. We'll be back to stay tuned.
Welcome to the MTN Service Center, sir.
Hey.
How can I help you?
We are here to buy MTN SIM cards.
Okay.
Meet my wife and my daughter and my son. This is my father, my mother and my cousin.
Oh wow, that's great.
Hey, I need even for my auntie piece. Hey, come close, auntie piece. Behind her is my mechanic and my newspaper vendor and my boss and the pastor.
Okay, sir.
This Christmas, buy an MTN SIM card to win free airtime for a year. Dial star 188 hash to win. 250 winners will immediately be notified on SMS each day. Win free airtime for a year with MTN this Christmas. Terms and conditions apply.
And of course there is my brother, my electrician, my bramba, and my baba's best friend's girlfriend.
MTN. Everywhere you go.
Let's start. Discover the new invigorating taste of Red Vodka Lemon. Red Vodka Lemon. Reinvent the night. Not for sale to persons under 18.
Excuse me, guys. Let me through, please. Yes.
What? Check this guy. Goodness, dude, what are you doing? Get real.
Just move a little.
What?
A little bit.
Man, what are you doing bringing a cow into the sitting room?
It's just for when I want milk.
Just what?
Just please move. Let it come and sit here.
What's wrong with this guy?
You cannot keep a cow in your home, but you can get the freshness of its milk straight from the farm into your home. Get fresh dairy milk for freshness straight from the farm every day. Fresh Diary, so fresh.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Welcome back on Spectrum tonight. The fight against Graft. What are the stakeholders taking part in the anti-corruption week proposing to strengthen the fight? Our guests tonight, Mr. Arthur Larok, Executive Director of ActionAid, and Mr. Fred Bamwine, Resident District Commissioner of Mpigi District. You will be able to call in and talk to us tonight right here. Mr. Larok, this accusation keeps coming out. Civil society is not clean. Civil society is not clean. Is it clean? Is it?
But they're from us.
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, civil society, many civil society organizations, broadly defined NGOs, community-based organizations, FBOs, trade unions, they are part of the society that Uganda is. Now, there is no doubt that there are elements of misappropriation and abuse of office in every institution. The question I think that is most relevant is, what are these civil society organizations doing about it? Now, Bamwine asked earlier, go and find how much money these people are mobilizing. Where do they put the money? Just one quick thing. Kindly, Bamwine, go to the Ministry of Internal Affairs at the NGO board. We are required every year to put annual returns, work plan, and budget. If there are NGOs that are not doing that, investigate. No problem.
Are you sure you answered the one of today giving you t-shirts?
Let me answer that. Exactly. Tell the listeners which t-shirt was given to you and what was there. There is a message on that t-shirt.
Yeah, I'm asking the sponsor.
People. Exact people power. People power. The message, it is a black t-shirt. We are saying fight against theft of public resources.
And some were giving
You know what? If you are talking about t-shirts, in fact, Bamwine, don't even mention t-shirts because this was your campaign tool. Yellow shirts all over.
No, that's what I'm asking.
Let me tell you, I can list you. We have numerous sponsors. We have numerous sponsors.
What are their interests?
You know what? I can bring our audit report, our annual report. I can submit it to as many RDCs all over the country where we want.
What are the interests?
Yes, I will even give Bamwine. There are many interests that donors do. They have their private commercial interests. That is there. Their humanitarian interests they do have. That is also there. No, listen. Bamwine is extremely diversionary, just like many of the people in his party, because the same donors. The same donors.
Let's keep this track, Mr. Godoro.
The same donors, whether it is USAID, DFID, Danida, they give the same government money.
But I told you that
listen. Let me just finish. So the point is not where the money comes from. What do you do with that money? And I stand tall, proud about what an organization like ActionAid has done. We celebrated 30 years the other day. We won an award, in Uganda by Capital Markets Authority about clean financial system. And you know what? Second to the biggest NGO in the world called BRAC. Come check our systems. Now, let me tell you, quite honestly, when donors give money to NGOs, we try the best we can. When they give it to government people steal it with impunity. And you know what Bamwine says? I don't care. Take your money away.
Yes.
Listen to what Fredo March. Listen to what the Minister of Health says. The Minister of Planning says that we cannot do service delivery because donors are, I will give you one personal testimony.
It's already messing up the shit.
Let me tell you one personal testimony. I will not mention the name of the person. He works with the social protection program, which is, I think, 80% funded by donors, giving cash transfers to elderly people. Now, this guy says they have been doing that for 6 months. Now, because of this scandal in OPM, many donors have withdrawn money, not just from OPM, but also from the Ministry of Gender. And you know what? He says he wants to resign his position because he actually thinks these elderly people who are used to a certain amount are going to die in his hands. Now, these are people. The Bamwine's government has failed to take care of these people. Donors come in and do that. So let's audit that.
Yes.
Let's audit that and be practical and not general.
Arthur, you see, it's good that you have mentioned donors and you have even referred to government. Two wrongs don't make a right. I'm not happy that I have a president who boards a plane to go to the Paris Club to ask for forgiveness about the debt. Two, I have told you this money for donors, when it comes here, half of it goes back in terms of technical assistance.
Let's forget about cloud.
This is a serious matter. This is serious. We can let allow imperialism to come to Africa again. Africa is being colonized using agents, blacks agents, and we just because that's how colonialism came. This money that is coming here is not to make sure that we are not capable enough to stand on our own. We must be able to fight imperialism by starting with their agents, telling them that this is not good for Africa. Let us look at rich resources.
Okay, we respect your view. Let's look at the current investigations. Office of the Prime Minister, civil public service. What do you think is going to happen to those people being investigated?
No, and unfortunately, me, I don't have much hope about investigations because I know the law. These people, after being paraded in court, the longest they can be there is 5 months or 3. They'll get their bail and get out. And once they are out,
the files will vanish.
No, the files will be there, but they win the cases formally through courts of law, and then we go back to zero. As long as we have not changed the legal framework.
But the properties have been seized.
Under which law? Because you just seize the property, but under which law?
Yes.
The law is going to go to constitutional court and challenge you. You are seizing my property as who? Under which law? I am innocent. Court has not found me guilty. And I think us and other colleagues who are seriously in need of fighting corruption, this is a core area we must go to. And unfortunately, we have a parliament which is not serious. And unfortunately, you cannot call a meeting of members of parliament to discuss this matter when there is no allowance, when there is no per diem. They will not come. Those are members of parliament. But this is an area where people should even go for sacrificing, like fasting. People should go for fasting to make a law that can make corruption risky. Right. But unfortunately, people who are charged in making these laws are not willing. The hearts may be willing, but the body is...
Spirit is willing, the body is weak. Mr. Afterlife.
So I don't, at the end of the day, right, I can't see much. We may get some conviction, 1 or 2, but we cannot recover much. But even in the law, is there a law to recover those billions of money?
So you think the courts soon
you win the sentences? The courts have limits with how much they can charge. So to me, I am skeptical, not until we have changed the legal framework and we have serious people in these positions, either in private sector, in NGOs, in government. Right. People who think Uganda should come first, Africa should come first, right, and then others come later. But unfortunately, my colleague Arthur is a good man. But when you talk about the donors, he is bleeding. Okay. He doesn't want to talk
just like government. Government will bleed without donors. Mr. Larok, I'd like to talk to us about how Black Monday went and what you plan to do in the future. But could you give us a comment on the weakness on that law? Talk to us about that. Do you agree that the law is weak, it should be amended? Then you can talk to us about Black Man and future.
Okay, very quickly, I think the struggle against theft of public resources will not just be sorted through the law. I don't think the law, whether it is a fantastic law, it is the legal approach alone is inadequate, because we have fantastic, policies, but they are not enforced. So you need people who are able to enforce. I want to challenge Bamwine. We have this Auditor General. They have been around for 2 decades. They have done all these reports every single year. What has happened? All these have been frustrated. So, I've been exonerated. Part of the
president opposes them sometimes.
On your point, can I give you an example? When I was in Nakawa here, we investigated the cases about capacity council staff, and I was convinced in my view that these people are guilty. And I wrote to the IGG, these are the areas. People were arrested, taken to Zira. This is about 8 years ago. Up to now, cases are not moving in court. Up to now, people are moving freely. Up to now, government lost money. What I'm trying to say, I have been hit inside there.
Yeah, so let me just finish this point. Let me finish this point. So I don't think, all those who can take the legal approach, try to improve the, please, we pray for you. But I think the assault on public resource thuggery and theft should be dealt with economically through these boycotts I talked about earlier, socially through ostracizing these people, and politically through electing leaders with integrity. We need leaders who have the track record. I want to make one final point that connects to what Bamwine said about it. You asked a very salient question, which Bamwine answered, and then, you said, is their will? You know what? Absolutely no. Because I do not want Ugandans to be diverted from facts. Our president's track record is clear. He might have written that letter Bamwine is talking about today, but his track record is clear. Like you said, he forgives those who repent without returning money. He told us 2 significant parables in the recent times that I just want to remind you, because media reported it, and the president indeed said it. He said, when you are taking tea, and a fly falls from a tree into your tea, do you throw away the tea or you remove the fly? Essentially saying,
you don't throw the baby.
You don't do that. And what Bamwine is suggesting in terms of legislation is a big overhaul. Deal with that thing decisively, systemically. He told us, when a football team is playing, you are putting on yellow, I'm putting on another color, black. I'm putting black. So if the yellow teammates see another teammate, that has committed a foul, like has stolen money or something, does the teammate run to the referee to report the teammate? No. And what is he saying? He's condoning. He's essentially saying, if you are part of my team called NRM, don't go and start reporting fellow teammates that they have stolen. This is the interpretation. Now, finally, you ask that, you'll rectify if I have misunderstood, because parables of people can interpret in different ways. Now, you said that what is this Black Monday about? Now, we have decided as ordinary people that we want to take action that we can manage. Black Monday, every single Monday put on black as a symbol of the struggle. Yes. Every first Monday of the month, we shall undertake some visible action.
Let's take it slowly.
Go to
every Monday, people should get dressed in black.
As a symbol of the struggle against theft.
Every first Monday
exactly. Every first Monday of the month, take some visible action. Appear at a roundabout, talk to Ugandans, go to the market, go to banks, pass a message. We have a lot of information that Ugandans need to have, including the economic and social costs of theft. You know what? The 250 billion, 169 billion that Basajabalaba took, it would have catered, for mosquito nets for all our children under the age of 15 for 5 years.
5 years.
Stolen. The money that was fraudulently taken during Chogam, if we had put it in lunch for our children, it would have fed 1 million children for 10 years.
1 million shilling for 10 years.
For 10 years, this is man stealing just like that in election. He's taken. So this is what we are talking about. That information must be there in the hands of Uganda.
This is Spectrum on Radio 1. You can call in now. You'll get your response later. You can call in now. Number 0414-348-111, 031-226-0390, 031-226-1390. Spectrum, hello? Hello? Yes, sir, your name? Good evening, your name?
First of all, I want to thank both the movie and the gentleman from civil society.
I need you.
I want to inform the country that the level of production today is not just a normal thing. It's something that impacted the serious economic sabotage. And that serious economic sabotage will result into wanting to overthrow the government. So when the meaning we are talking, apart from looking at the source of the money where the civil societies are getting, I even suspect that even the money, the main channel back to civil society, in order to overthrow your own government. So let us this matter and the perspective of the security of our country.
All right. Spectrum, hello? Hello? Yes, your name?
Hello?
Yes, sir, you're live on Spectrum. Your name?
Hello? This is Bob from Nigeria.
Bob.
Yeah, now, it's unfortunate.
Can you switch off your radio and then talk to us, Bob?
Yes, you can hear me. Can you hear me now?
Switch it off and then talk to us.
Yes, now I'm saying it's unfortunate that the colleague from Action Thing is not so much aware of what is happening everywhere. You know, this we're talking about is like all have seen. I know there is a lot of scam in government. Everyone has been able to see that and has been exposed. Has anyone really exposed what's going on in the government? So besides that saying that there's a problem here and there, I appreciate the fact that we need to clean government.
All right, thank you very much.
Someone needs to put the touch into the NGO that we see.
Spectrum, hello?
Hello?
Yes, your name?
Yeah, my name is Honorable Dog.
Honorable Dog.
I want to appreciate my colleague from Action Aid. I really support his sentiment. But I want to advise both of you, Bamwine and Larok, that bending the law, change the law, the presumption of innocence, that if you are arrested, your guilty until proven innocent, it will be abused. The people you are going to find in prison will be the refugees, the Lupagos, the Lomotors. Because the moment you are arrested, you are already guilty. It's up to you to prove your innocence. So let's go a little slow on that. I just wanted to, Bamwine said that there was a professor spending like 2 billion shillings on members of parliament.
Yes.
I heard the same thing from Professor Kapujere. Now, government is using that as a blackmail. The organization that is sponsoring transparency in oil industries all around the world is called Revenue Watch. You can go online, check their credentials. They are trying to save the world from wars because of oil by having transparent legal regime. So it should not be used as a blackmail. Like government MPs are being sponsored by a profession. The workshop was organized by Parliamentary Forum for Oil and Gas and co-sponsored by AFIEGO, African Center for Energy Governance. So we shouldn't be really blackmail. I just want to make that clear.
Thank you, Honorable. Spectrum, hello? Hello. Good evening, your name?
Mohammed.
Mohammed, yes?
Now, Mr. Bamwine, I have one question direct to you. Do you think that the majority of Ugandans are against you, the NRM, when we talk against corruption? Actually, do you think they will be told to an absolute news from you the head of certified corruption? No, I'm not corruption because once there is a time when you say that once the head will roll, you wait. Let's see where the things are going to be. Thank you.
Spectrum, hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, your name?
My name is James Kasher.
Yes, Mr. Kasher.
I want to thank the panelists. But I want to concur with Mr. Bamwine. You see, Edmond, I'm on record on Radio 1 that some Ugandans, they are just alarmists. they are not speaking from the bottom of their heart. After I always like Mr. Afaka when he is moderating Sakasari. He says from the bottom of your heart, what is your status? Have you ever evaluated after that action aid the person? Can you, for instance, tell us how many NGOs are in Uganda? If all NGOs were doing the work they are supposed to do, you think we should be having poverty? If the money they have this today, I was there to tell Africana. If they divert that money, how many schools that you can build? Let's be honest. How many churches are in Uganda? What have they done in terms of changing the livelihood of Uganda?
Let's take our final caller tonight. Hello. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. Your name?
My name is Paul.
Yes, Paul.
I'm calling from I think Mr. Bamwine should stop excuses for the law. The law has been abused. This is from just brought in court. People were brought in court and witnesses. End up seeing people who come to the knowledge the suspect. Now, this is so I would like to say that the problem of corruption is a deep failure. President has failed and should not give us excuses. You can see the extravagance, you can see how funds are spent out, you can hear how many times the names of the president have appeared in some of these scandals. So if the question is the team leader who is the president who has failed, and that's where the solution has come from.
Paul Mugambe. Thank you for calling in from Uganda. Let's get back to Chidia. Okay, one final caller. Spectrum, hello? Yes, your name?
Hello.
Hello, your name?
Hello.
Hello, your name?
Hello.
Okay, let's get back here. Fred Bamwine.
Yes, I want to thank those who have managed to call and those who have been listening. Mr. Were said this is economic sabotage, and maybe NGOs have intention even of removing a government. Mr. Were, I want to inform you officially now. I was the second question.
Who was stealing?
Yes,
could be.
I wanted to inform him. I was personally in the meeting, and one of the resolutions taken were to remove the president of this country. And I promised them that I think that is now trading on the dangerous ground. The president was elected formally last year, and he has just been 2 years in office. Therefore, what we should know from now that the intention of fighting corruption has now turned out to help those who wanted to be in power. So you better wake up. Mr. Bob, you said the NGOs are stinking in terms of corruption. I agree with you. Unfortunately for you, think about corruption in NGOs, but the question is bigger. They are actually agents of imperialism. They don't wish well to Africa. These are agents of making sure that Africans remain underdogs, and that's why they are unhappy whenever they see these so-called donors going back. Now I'm saying we are collecting 75%. With enough money, we can live within our means. Even a poor person can survive on his own. But for you to mortgage yourself, then you remain under subjugation. I don't support it. Therefore, Mr. Bob, NGOs have a mission and an agenda of representing imperialism, and this is second recolonization. We must wake up. However, you are my colleague, my friend, you know it very well. You helped me very much. I was maybe doubting that this professor may not be there. Now I have confirmed that there is a revenue watch which is sponsoring transparency in oil, and only what I know, you are a lawyer, you are a strugglist, you know very well that goodwill of helping Uganda to have a good oil laws, and you end up being given a per diem of 500,000 instead of 150. It's not free. You know, at the end of the day, these are companies which failed to penetrate the oil exploration, and they think they can use Parliament to frustrate those companies which are already in the market.
Doesn't deal in oil.
Yes, they are agents. I know how they work. They are being sponsored by the companies which are competing for oil. So, it's unfortunate, Honorable, you are deciding now to give in your soul and be a legend also of these compradors. But I think it's high time we link up together and we compare notes. We cannot sell our country like that. Mohammed said the majority of he said, do you think majority of Ugandans hate NRM? No, they are not. They don't. If they were hating NRM last year, February 11th, 18th, they wouldn't have voted NRM over Horemengri. If they were hating NRM, Dongoto and Skori wouldn't have feared voting last week. And I can tell you, even if voting is to be there tomorrow, still NRM will carry the day. Therefore, we know what is, but what is true is that we haven't finished fighting corruption. That's why we have introduced the contract performance to make sure that if you are found, you have not performed, you can quit the jobs. That's why we are promoting this media activism, but we are saying let us condemn corruption. It has no political party, it has no color. But we must be sure that agents of imperialism have surrounded us and they are not willing even to be fought.
Okay, thank you very, very much. First to Honorable Dongauto, I listened to your counsel. I think that is an important point that you make about the possible abuse. And the point here is, for as long as you have the type of leadership that are in charge of our government, all these legislations can be abused. So I think that is an important point
the
that
type
I
of
take.
leadership?
Yeah, I mean, the leaders, switch off Bamwine. I gave him his time.
Let's be gentlemen, Mr. Larok.
Cannot be done.
Let me explain.
You are breathing because we are talking about the donors who are giving you.
No, forget about it. Forget about that. You are diversionary, and let me finish my point. Number one, the type of leaders we have do not have what it takes to even enforce their laws. Now, let me clarify on the issue of the president that you are interested in. It is absolutely clear in our mind that the president condones corruption.
Yes.
He forgives ministers. And Fred Bamwine agrees. So, the point that was made, no, he knows. He's just wasting time because he knows. He knows time is. Cannot finish, Bamwine. Cannot finish, please.
Why you get the money from
Cannot finish.
Fred Bamwine, can we hear this gentleman?
So, the point we are making is that for as long as the president that Bamwine respects is on top of our leadership, we will never succeed. So the other additional points is that Bob says all of us have sinned. Bob is such a thug. You see, this is how they behave.
That's what you are paid to do. I know you are breathing.
Bob says all of us have sinned.
We shall talk about
and that
you account the money.
So my challenge to people like Bob, my challenge to people like Bob is simply bring evidence about these NGOs. They never mention one single name. But for us, we say months of education, pensions, everything. Now, the other thing is, how many NGOs are in Uganda? This is the responsibility of government. The responsibility of government, go and ask the Minister of Internal Affairs and go and get that information about how many NGOs are there. Otherwise, Bamwine is such a diversionary person who has wasted everybody's time. And I think he did it deliberately, but the struggle continues.
Thank you very much, our dear guests. But what's the way forward right now?
We get money from donors, but we don't have ghost soldiers, we don't have ghost t-shirts, we don't have ghost payments. So the point is, Bamwine and his government deal with corruption decisively because he has admitted here they have failed.
Thank you very much.
That is it.
What was the intention of
Mpigi? Thank you for coming.
You get the money, people's money and share.
Larok, Executive Director of Action.
You are a terrible man.
Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next is the news in English. So stay tuned.
The Western Union Choma Hour is here. Win lots of goodies this festive season. Listen to your favorite radio station for the Western Union East Africa.